Hello there. I suppose many of us in our hearts have a soft spot for the road movie. And if I say the phrase road movie, perhaps immediately leaping into your mind are long dormant pictures of Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper on their souped up chopper bikes, riding with drugs in the fuel tank, of course, all the way from Los Angeles to New Orleans for the Mardi Gras. Or perhaps Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis fleeing from Arkansas to the Grand Canyon, hotly pursued by Harvey Keitel, and finding themselves in the process. My own favourite is Chris Pettitt's Radio On, a very British road movie, which has David Beam's travel from London to Bristol, during which time he has an interesting experience at Heston Services, and he meets Sting in a petrol station near Chippenham, singing Three Steps to Heaven, as you do. And travelling on via the Temple Gate flyover, as used to exist by the Grosvenor Hotel in slow motion, David finds true happiness in Weston-super-Mare. The road movie, eh? No road movies have ever been made about the A40 between Abergavenny and Brecon, at least as far as I'm aware. Trucks, and in summer and pre-lockdown days, caravans chug up and down an unremarkable stretch of 1960s trunk road. But if you look carefully as you near Brecon, you'll fly past, unless you're in a traffic jam, a small church, just off to the right of the modern A40, and here it is. In this church lived and served as the parish priest, and was buried, the poet Henry Vaughan. We try to imagine him in what the area must have looked like in his day, before roads, before motor cars, deeply rural, deeply peaceful. Vaughan was a poet and explorer. Every year, at the anniversary of his death, a poem about him by Siegfried Sassoon, of which more next week, is read at his graveside. He's loved, remembered and respected, as much for anything as his exploration of encountering God in darkness, both a physical darkness of night and also the darkness which we sometimes meet in our hearts. A famous encounter in the Bible is that between Jesus and Nicodemus, the Pharisee. And we know it took place at night, probably on the roof of a house, in the quiet night air. And in the darkness and quiet of the night, the most amazing encounter between these two men, pictured wonderfully here in this picture, takes place. And John records it in chapter 3 of his Gospel this way. Now there was a Pharisee named Nicodemus, a leader of the Jews. He came to Jesus by night and said to him, Rabbi, we know that you're a teacher who's come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do apart from the presence of God. Jesus answered him, Very truly I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God without being born from above. Nicodemus said to him, How can anyone be born after having grown old? Can one enter a second time into the mother's womb and be born? Jesus answered, Very truly I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God without being born of water and the Spirit. What is born of the flesh is flesh, and what is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not be astonished that I said to you, You must be born from above. The wind blows where it chooses, and you hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus literally met God in the darkness. I wonder what his thoughts were as he journeyed back. Poet Samuel Carmo was beset by depression and difficulty throughout his life. And he painted this picture of a cornfield by moonlight and a solitary traveller passing through, an agricultural worker. Sometimes the darkness of the physical night, and sometimes the darkness of our own feelings, is the place where God comes to us and gently works with us. Perhaps we might, just might, seek him there. Henry Vaughan's, an excerpt from The Night. God's silent, searching flight, when my Lord's head is filled with dew, and all his locks are wet with the clear drops of night, his still soft call, his knocking time, the soul's dumb watch, when spirits their fair kindred catch, were all my loud evil days calm as unhaunted as thy dark tent, whose peace but by some angel's wing or voice is seldom rent, then I in heaven all the long year would keep and never wander here. But living where the sun doth all things wake, and where all mix and tire themselves and others, I consent, and run to every mire, and by this world's ill-guiding light err more than I can do by night. There is in God, some say, a deep but dazzling darkness, as men here say it is late and dusky, because they see not all clear. Oh, for that night, where I in him might live invisible and dim.